What's a comeback you've used in life that was so smooth you still grin when you think back on it? Not a comeback but a comment. Me and my buddy were talking and he was telling me about a girl he knew who was a real hoe. That she would go to the bar and sleep with multiple guys in the bathroom for free drinks, and he said, if that's your life then I guess whatever blows up your skirt. And I immediately said, apparently free drinks, and he spit out his drink and started busting up laughing. I felt really proud of my comment. One jerky jock was in my class during a test and kept being loud, and so I spoke up and we argued for a bit and the teacher told us to be quiet and he said, well, I'm gonna finish the argument. I then said to this oval wide kid, the only thing you finish are sandwiches. Everyone laughed and he was pissed, and his best friend was even making fun of him about it, and the giggles lasted for the rest of class. In high school, girl I was madly in love with, and I realized years later the feeling was mutual, and I were dancing together at a Victorian ball reenactment. As the song started she asked, so is this where we start quoting Pride and Prejudice? Without missing a beat I replied, you mean the part about how beneath me it is to dance with you? Thankfully she thought that was hilarious. I worked in an office with 5 other guys. Busting on each other was a perk of the job. One day dude won comments on our screensaver images. They were things like a yacht, a Porsche, stuff like that. You guys are so dumb putting things you can't possibly afford on your screensavers. Dude looks up and says, why not? You do. Dude 1 had just gotten divorced because his wife cheated on him. She won primary custody and moved to states away. His screensaver was his kids, who he had to pay a ton in child support for. He just hung his head because he knew he was beat. I was a prefect in HS, didn't have much power, but still involved in a lot of school decisions. A volunteer student from year 10th was in the school cafeteria serving me. So you're a prefect now, doesn't that basically make you school principal's name, bitch now? Student: no, it means school principal's name sucks my dick and not yours. Now get my pie me. It wasn't the best comeback, but it was enough to warrant a few smug laughs from friends. Other guy: you look like the kind of guy that uses those silicone sex dolls. Me: you seem to know a lot about sex dolls. Other guy: they hired me as a professional to go into the factory and test them all. Hehehe. Me: probably to guarantee they would never stretch out order form. Someone laughed at me then. You mean, let me understand this cause maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a little freaked up maybe. I'm funny how? I mean funny, like I'm a clown. I amuse you? I make you laugh? I'm here to freaking amuse you? What you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny? We were being idiots, and I had put a piece of cardboard under my glasses like a blindfold. One of the others in our group I didn't really know said, you look better like that. I turned my face to him, still blind, and said, you look better like this too. Some friends and I were seeing who could put a condom on the funniest thing in the park. Don't ask. One guy put one on the hand of a statue and thought he'd won. Can't remember what did win. When he asked why he didn't win, I said because it was only a hand job. There was this one kid in middle school who would shout, say dumb crap, and other middle school stuff. Whenever someone would tell him to stop he would show, you're not my dad. Eventually I replied with, that's not what your mom said, and he stopped from then on. I was on a group trip to a ski resort in Quebec and our events coordinator came bouncing up to our table and announced that we have been invited to go skiing with the Polish group. Without hesitation I said uphill. 3 people in my group almost pissed their pants laughing. The rest just looked at me. Someone was making an argument that was false, as in this was my specialization and their position was totally incorrect. I said I would agree with you, but then we were both wrong. The look of confusion on their face was priceless. Someone called on the phone early one morning. When I picked up the phone and said hello, they said, did I wake you? I answered no, I had to answer the phone. I told somebody that the jerk store ran out of them. I was shopping in my local Sainsbury's and some guy ran up to me and aggressively warded me away from some milk that had spilt on the floor that I'd already spotted. He said, there's spilt milk there, can't you see? I said, hey, there's no point crying over it. Someone once asked, can I smoke in here? In my house. I somehow came up with, only if you're on fire. Doubt I could ever top that. A friend was a Bears fan, and I'm a Dolphins fan, and we liked talking shit back and forth about everything really, but one day it was about football and he said, the 85 Bears could beat the 72 Dolphins, and I said maybe, but the 85 Dolphins could beat the 85 Bears. The moment he heard me say, 85 Dolphins, he got a smirk, because he knew I heard him. For anyone who doesn't follow sports much, the 72 Dolphins are the only team to go undefeated in regular season and win the Super Bowl, and the 85 Bears won every game, but won in regular season, and won the Super Bowl. The team they lost to was the Dolphins. When Dave quit the company, he told our supervisor Ross, "You're a freaking a hole." When word got around that I had put in my 2-week notice, my co-workers started asking if I was going to tell Ross the same thing. Nah, I said. Ross was never that honest with me. Why should I be with him? My grandpa told me I'm going to hell cause I have tattoos. So one summer I sneak some beers in with me and go fishing on the pond, and he catches me. I'm 24 and home on leave at this point, and tells me that it's bad for me and that good Christians don't drink yada yada. I respond with, I'm going to hell anyways, so what does it matter? The dude is absolutely stunned, then drives off on his side by side. Didn't talk to me for almost a year. Lol. When I was 16, my ex-boyfriend, completely unprompted, yelled out at me that I need to learn to suck dick better from the other end of the room at a party with all our friends. He liked to try to humiliate me in public. I responded he should last longer than 2 minutes. Maybe I'd get some practice in. Once the first bout of laughter died down, I saw he was speechless. I told him to grow another couple of inches before telling me what to do. Back in middle school, I was arguing with a friend, and at one point I said, "You suck," to which he replied, "You swallow." Usually there's no comeback for this, but I randomly remembered the old Gogurt commercials and came back with "You sip, slurp, grab and glurp." Friend was speechless for about 10 seconds before we both cracked up. To this day we laugh about it. Not exactly a comeback, but a fun zinger I remember. My buddy was complaining about something irrelevant while wearing a hat, tracksuit and shoes all from the same brand, and I just replied, "Look on the bright side, at least you still have your Under Armour sponsorship." Fall of 2020, COVID's been running rampant. We are inside a Costco. Saw an older man talking to a young girl, 20s-ish, with tattoos, who was clearly not trying to listen to him. As we walked past them, he said something like, "I just want to have a relationship with you," which is when my fiance and I turned around and got in between them. I stood in between them while she asked the girl if she was okay. He told me to get out of the way so he could talk to her. I told him she didn't want to talk to him. He's been pulling his mask down every time he spoke. He said, "I just want to make sure she has a relationship with Jesus." I told him, "You're gonna meet Jesus a lot sooner than you think if you don't keep that mask on." Makes my day every time I remember that story. For the 2010 playoff game with Green Bay against Philadelphia, I came to the game wearing my Packer jacket and hat. An Eagles fan tailgating with his friends threw an empty beer can at me from about 15 feet away. I told him, "I'm from Wisconsin, and if you're going to throw a beer can at me, make sure it's a full one." His friends then busted out laughing at him. This girl that bullied this quiet guy in my class asked me why I was defending him, and I said, "It's because I'm a nice person, but I understand why that wouldn't make sense to you." I'm still very impressed with my 5th grade self. A guy once said a really racist joke in front of one of my friends, then looked at me for support and said, "Come on, you know I was joking. It's funny." I just looked at him straight in the eyes with the most serious face possible and said, "Am I laughing?" I was at a comedy club in New York on vacation wearing a flowered shirt. The first comedian made a joke that if anyone ever asks if you're gay, just tell them, "Well, no, but I'm flattered that you were interested enough to ask." The audience laughed appropriately, but they were prepped. The next comedian, not having seen the first comedian, was making fun of audience members based on their clothing. And did I mention I was wearing a flowered shirt? He picked me out and badgered, "Are you gay? Are you gay?" He wouldn't let it go, even though I tried to ignore it and let him continue with his set. But he just kept hammering, "Are you gay? Are you gay?" Finally, in my best James Earl Jones voice, I boomed, well no, but I'm flattered that you were interested enough to ask. The audience went wild. I destroyed him. The audience laughed for like a good 5 minutes and the comedian was ruined. He couldn't finish his set and was unable to look at my side of the audience. Eventually he even said I can't even look in that direction and sulked off stage, with the audience still laughing at him.